They can't read the signs. Why do they get hit by cars? Anyone seen The Yearling or Bambi? Anyone seen either Bambi or The Yearling? Okay. Is there, she said, it makes me cry. Is there a part in Bambi where Buck, Bambi's dad, sits Bambi down and says, Bambi, this is a Ford F-150. Stay away from this. Is there a part of the movie where Dawn, Bambi's mom, says, this is a smart car. Don't worry about that. Why do you get hit by cars? They don't know what cars are. It is an out-of-context problem for them. They don't know what a car is. Out-of-context problems. 9/11 was an out-of-context problem for us. At least, let me just speak for myself. I would have never imagined that people would use passenger planes as missiles to bring down buildings. That was outside of my context. Will 9/11 happen again just as it did the first time? No, it won't. Why? Because now it is a part of our context. Not only is that a part of our context, but now we're thinking about all sorts of impossible scenarios that are now going to be a part of our context as we move forward. When things are out of our context, we're fearful, we're shocked, we're unprepared, we're unaware, we're reactive, we're accidental when we encounter them. So when we encounter someone that we think is different from us, that may be racially different or ethnically different or of a different gender, and they're not a part of our context, this is how we respond to them. But we need to put those experiences in context. And the way that we do that is when we put things in context, we become courageous, we become thoughtful, we become prepared, we're aware, we're proactive, and we're purposeful in the relationships that we build with other people. Because one of the things that we start to realize is that everybody is looking for safety, significance, and belonging. No matter where they're coming from, no matter what they've done, this is the core motivation that they have. And significance basically says this, that everybody was born for a purpose. And that purpose is not for someone else's enjoyment, but it is to live out what you were the winner of. Sometimes when I talk to my students, I remind them that if you haven't ever been a winner, you were a winner once. Out of all of the genetic matter that left your father and met your mother, you were the winner. And if you won once, you can win again. So we're all looking for significance. We're also looking for belonging. We're looking for being in relationships with other human beings. It is my belief that I cannot fully be human until I recognize your humanity, and then I am in relationship directly with you. That our humanity starts when we recognize another's humanity. And for our clients, I want to tell you, part of the reason that sometimes people condemn us for having these long relationships with our clients is because on the outside world, or on the outs, as my kids like to say, on the outs, they still see them as monsters, and they don't see them as human beings. They don't see them as people who have and can learn, change, and grow. They don't recognize their humanity. And there's something about the human animal that we like making monsters so that we don't have to take responsibility for the people and the situations, the environments that we create that produce these so-called monsters. And so people are always looking for belonging. And we're also looking for this idea, this basic, simple idea of safety, being physically, emotionally, and spiritually safe to live out our relationships and to recognize our significance, our importance. And so some of these barriers to this humanity or seeking these goals are some of these things. One is historical trauma. How many people are familiar with historical trauma? What is historical trauma? Have you heard that before? What is historical trauma? What's that? Would World War be historical trauma? Not particularly in the context that I'm trying to use it in. All right, so how many people, has anyone had a car stolen from you? A vehicle, car? Anyone had a car stolen? Anyone? No? You had a car stolen? Yeah, what was it? You had it for a month? What was it? What kind of car was it? Oh, it was a motorcycle. Okay, so it's a Yamaha E350? Purple. Oh, so you know the motorcycle if you saw it. Now, what would happen if your motorcycle was stolen, you come home, and your motorcycle's in your neighbor's driveway?
I'd be talking to my neighbor.
You'd be talking to your neighbor. And what the neighbor said, get off my property, this is my motorcycle, there's nothing you can do about it. You what? You'd be really angry. You might be so angry that you call the police. And what do the police do? They come and they take a report. And then they go back to doing whatever it was they were doing before. Right? After that, you might take this person to court. You may say, you know what, I'm going to sue you because I have the paperwork for my motorcycle. You go to court, the judge looks at your papers, looks at the fact that the neighbor has nothing but the keys to your motorcycle and says, I will rule on this decision. Boom. This motorcycle goes to the neighbor. How do you feel about the neighbor? You're not happy with the neighbor. How do you feel about the judge? Not happy with the judge. How do you feel about the judicial system? You would think that it's not just. So now 6 months pass. It's now springtime. Your neighbor comes to you and says, we're going to have a motorcycle ride for cancer. Comes over to you and says, can you help me polish this motorcycle for the motorcycle ride for cancer? What do you say to your neighbor that you can say in front of these people?
I'd be glad to help you, and I'd put Cairo syrup in the gas tank.
All right, so you're going to sabotage the whole thing, right? That is historical trauma for Native Americans. Native Americans get to see other people use their stuff and not get benefits from it themselves, except for when those people decide that you can ride that motorcycle on Saturday from 10 to 11:30, but you better not be late. So you can fish in this land, or you can, get rice in this area for this amount of time, or you can only have this access to this kind of land. And so I don't know about you, but that frustration over generations and over generations turns into suicide, turns into drug and alcohol abuse, turns into antisocial behaviors, because I don't want to be a part of a system that's been kicking my butt for so long. So another barrier to humanity, to this idea of humanity, is institutional racism. From 1863 to 1964 is how long? 101 years. It's 101 years. What happened in the world in 101 years? We added over 20 states to the Union. The Model T was invented. We went from gas lights to electric lights. We fought in 2 world wars. And in that same time, we had all these advances in our society, but there were systemic chains of bondage placed on other people who did not have those same access to those things. And so I hear people say, well, I did this under my own power. I have gotten this. I worked hard. I made this happen. Yes, because you had a 101-year head start on those people who didn't. And so some people ask me, well, how long do we have to keep making up for that 101 years? How long do we have to keep making concessions? And I ask this, when you scraped your knee, when did the scar go away? How often do you have to brush your teeth? All of these things that we've talked about, these impasses or these mistakes that we've made as a country, are things that will be with us until they are no longer with us. So how long does it take? It takes as long as it takes. The next thing is poverty. Poverty separates human beings. It says that